I was talking to Bon and Ross last night at the Microsoft event, and just about the fact that getting all this done is like it's an engineering task. I mean, it's like they put down a wish list. This is what we want to have in this collection, and it's just for the tech guys to try and make it work.
There you go. There's your holidays.
Yeah, I think they're still working on making sure that Halo 2 is 1080p and 60 frames per second, but the rest of they can assure us that it will be. And Halo 2 was, of course, what they were showing, what you were able to play, because it's getting the full anniversary treatment. Whereas the other games, you'll get to play them 1080p, 60 frames per second, but it's not that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think Halo 2 is the important one because it's the sort of black sheep of the family, given the furore surrounding its development cycle, and Bungie pretty much trying to hurry to get that thing put together, and it feels very different. Okay, it probably is dual wielding and stuff, but as a game, it sort of feels very different from Combat Evolved and very different again from Halo.
And it's also what introduced us to the whole sort of Halo Online gaming. So,
can you acknowledge that we've had some problems, but it should be working perfectly now?
All right, public service announcement, everybody, from our fine camera fellows in the background of this actual shot. We are suffering, or have been suffering, from sound problems.
They've probably noticed.
You probably have noticed. My accent has completely disappeared, which is probably a good thing for some people.
We haven't noticed here, though. We can hear ourselves.
Just speaking to the crowds.
Quickly recap what we talked about.
Third time.
Yes.
No, it's okay. Okay, for those of you having sound problems, which sounds like everybody bar us,
we've been talking about Microsoft, basically.
Yeah, we've been talking about Microsoft
till now.
Took covering about Halo and stuff like that. So, but Halo is obviously not the only big thing that we were talking about.
I mean, you also mentioned Sunset Overdrive. Seems like one of those games that people really have caught on to. I played the multiplayer demo, the single player demo. I gotta say, it's not as impressive playing it as seeing it. So I think there's some things that they need to work on for launch. Obviously, it's like, I mean, I think anyone can imagine playing something like Jet Set Radio and shooting at the same time in an open world where you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not as straightforward as it sounds. You're thinking of the rail section in Bioshock Infinite. A lot of fun, but
nightmare.
It's not as it can be a little bit like, oh, I need to get to there. I need to ride the rails, ride the things. It's not always as sort of smooth sailing as it looks when an expert player comes in there, plays through it, flies through it, and I think it takes a little bit getting used to, and that's perhaps what I took away from it. But also it's like so frenetic that you're basically not given time to sort of play around with the weapons, and that's like half the fun. Just messing about with the weapons. And
here's a question for you. Given that the release date is October the 20th, now they're trying to push that as very distinct. It's a very unique game. I mean, even the trailer took the piss out of the fact that we all thought it was going to be another Call of Duty Battlefield. And it's very much, no, this is something very different. But is it one of those games that's so unique and so off the cuff, it actually might get drowned by all the other big releases that are out in that 2-month period?
I don't think so, because it's got that unique appeal, and I think it's got the makings of sort of a cult classic thing, where some people are really, really gonna love it, and other people are just gonna be a little bit taken back by the fact that it's placed differently than what we've been playing so far. So, there's a danger in that, but at the same time, it's nice to see them actually going there, before holiday with something that's different. I think that's going to help them, if anything. It's a first-party title, so you can afford to do that. I would not think that EA, Activision, Ubisoft would go with this kind of game for a holiday season, because, there's a risk in that. Microsoft, on the other hand, they need to profile themselves. This is the kind of title to do it with.
Yeah, it's all about the games and the diversity of the portfolio as well. I mean, we got a wide range. Now, a lot of focus on third party as well, but I actually quite like, I just have to have a shout out to Playdead's Vegas Inside.
Absolutely.
It was quite nice to see. Sort of dystopian future,
totalitarian stuff.
I love the idea, and even the music as well. Again, Playdead's Limbo, I thought, was very stripped down, very atmospheric sort of soundscape and that, and this feels very much the same. Obviously, we're watching this on stage, thousands of people around us, so maybe the noise is a little bit distorted, but that and the other game that you got playing last night,
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, that looked great, man. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's a Metroidvania. Surprise, surprise! There are such games. Really, it's an indie team that's been working on it for 4 years, sort of spread out all over the world, and it plays really nicely. It's got wonderful look. You know, obviously very much inspired by Studio Ghibli and that sort of thing. In terms of gameplay, it's a precision platformer. So unlike something like Shadow of Light, where they haven't really gone for precision, they've gone for art. This one, and the developers sort of took a little roundabout dig at Shadow of Light in that sense, that it's not really a Metroidvania, and it isn't. That game is all about looks and RPG, but the Metroidvania thing is something they sort of tease in the beginning, where you get a new ability to fly very early on, but there's no progress in that. There's no other things that you unlock. In this game, you will unlock abilities and things throughout, which, So more of a classic Metroidvania in that sense, so, yeah.
You say Shadow of Light?
Child of Light?
Child of Light, yeah. Sorry.
Maybe I said that. I don't know.
My ears are joined after.
People watching the streams like, what did he say?
People watch the stream can't even hear us anyway. They sound brilliant.
That's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing. One thing I want to touch on as well, now, it's a comparison really to Sony's conference. Microsoft did have the thing of going exclusive DLC, premium content, but it was very sort of vague and sort of, there is exclusive DLC coming. Sony turned around and went, yeah, we got exclusive DLC, and this is what it is. Like the Batman, Scarecrow missions are going to come exclusively. Their Destiny as well is going to get an exclusive Skype mission. I'm just wondering, that this sort of day and age, the DLC war, so to speak, it's sort of a bit frivolous now, because I think it sort of shatters the player base, and just all it does is annoy people who don't get that access. It's not going to swing you to buy a console, but it's really going to piss you off. The fact is that
if you don't have that console,
because it's one map, it's not like half a game or anything like that. So just wondering whether it's like, should they even acknowledge it anymore, other than maybe Call of Duty? It's
like Destiny. It's like one strike mission. I mean, hopefully that's one of 50 or 100. That's like, I don't know. I mean, if you want, for me, it's like the controller is much more important. I've got both consoles, PS4, Xbox One. Obviously, you got it as well. We're not going to pick it based on like one mission.
We're going to play it,
or like customizable, stuff, or a skin, or the Scarecrow missions. I could see that, being something that, getting Arkham Knight, I want to play that. If I got the choice, and I got the choice, so. But.
Because they sort of have made a sort of emphasis that the Scarecrow missions are going to be a big part, because they altered the entire stage for Sony's conference for that. The really nice Gotham cityscape was completely altered to look like this really flashy, chaotic version of reality that does play into the missions from previous Arkham games, but seems like more sort of widespread and larger sort of scale. So whether it's going to be something like the Riddler side missions in previous Arkham games, where it's just a nice little story thread and everything, or whether it's going to be something more magnificent, well, I guess we'll find out come release.
There's stuff going on behind us that sort of makes us a little bit worried.
What's actually happening is there's a load of guys eating bacon sarnies behind us right now, behind this camera. Bacon sarnies, glasses of Chateau. It's amazing. It's great.
I hope they're not eating all the bacon.
I think they are, actually. This is our punishment. They're putting us in front here so they can have the bacon. It's all subterfuge. Well, let's talk about...
Don't eat, you're messing up the sound of the stream.
We've already got crackles going on. But let me touch it before we move on, because obviously we've got a wee while left.
We're doing this the third time, so I'm like, did we miss anything?
Yes, we missed one thing, and that was Return of Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I'm a bit of a mouthful. I like the name, though. Better than Tomb Raider 2. So happy. I was so happy. I think I burst Nick's eardrum.
Yep.
I just screamed out when I realised who it was. Do you know, weirdly enough, it actually disturbed me that she killed someone right at the start of that trailer. Because it does the kill and then segues into this massive sprawling underground cavern. It's like, yeah, this is who, you know.
And they sort of took pleasure in it. Because it's like, you get to see the guy and you get to sort of, you got to know him a little bit. Like, he didn't seem like a bad guy.
Family,
you get to see like
kids back home.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a guy. It's not like you sort of. You sort of looked at him for a little bit and so like, also, I wonder what his role is in this.
Oh no, he's Arrow. He has an arrow in the head. Yeah.
Man meat arrow.
Man meat arrow. Man flesh. But that was it. I mean, they did sort of play upon the idea of maybe. I think it's really cool to do that, where you have like the trauma from the events that has transpired in the first game, and I think very few games actually do that. I'm hoping, however, that they approach that subject in more than angry Lara, I'm going to kill Army, you know?
We don't really want that sort of dark Lara, sort of, because that's not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that sort of for a section of the game, though, but not as the entire game.
Maybe it will be partly the story arc of the game, because the first one was basically archaeologist becomes hardcore adventurer. So maybe this one becomes affected, traumatized youth becomes clear-headed.
Murderous female.
No, not murderous female. But yeah, just Tomb Raider, where it focuses on what the series is about. Because, and whilst this will be a spoiler to anybody that has not played the original yet, and I apologise, but the game is being like far too long for you not to play it, and it's an amazing game, so shout out. They take all the way through to the end of the game for them to reintroduce Lara's dual pistols. That's the end thing. That's the last thing you do in the game. You get the secondary pistol. Boom, 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 boom. So they're reimagining and reintroducing the very core concepts of what Lara Croft is. So I'm assuming come the end of this game, they can actually take their time to get to the point where it is all about, here's this massive underground, half-destroyed city. You got to get there, work out, and there's no sort of like camera angles, camera pans to sort of suggest, well, you do this, which they did in Prince of Persia for a while. It's just like, go for it. And I cannot wait.
I think that's really what they took away from the first game. People really liked the tombs, really liked that sort of classic gameplay. This is what we're going to focus on for the sequel. And I can see that. But we're talking about a little. We only got a little teaser, so we're speculating.
They're speculating hugely.
That's what we're being paid for.
And that's Microsoft. So as we have Times Premium, let's skip on and talking about giving fans what they want. EA kicked off with Star Wars.
Yep.
And I have to say, goosebumps as soon as I heard that theme kick in. Amazing.
EA had a different approach. But once again, I think a lot of people sort of see them as the loser of the 4 conferences so far. That's what I'm hearing, like online.
Oh, just for this year?
Yeah, for this year. But they had a different kind of approach where, games that are kind of an honest approach. Rather than CG trailers, they took us behind the scenes to see the teams, what they were working on, but not really showing any. There wasn't any sort of. There was some conceptual stuff for Mirror's Edge, but there wasn't the kind of, this is what we're aiming to have in 2 years, CG trailer, and then sort of downgrade that over the years. Rather, we got to see sort of an insight into what they're working on and the philosophies behind it. Kind of honest and nice in a way, but at the same time, I'm like, give us the goddamn name of the game Criterion are working on, and what's Bioware working on, what's it called?
It's a tease. It's pure tease. But with Star Wars, with Mirror's Edge, with whatever the new Mass Effect game is, and whatever that extra game is, and Criterion stuff, it was very much like, we're so early in the production cycle. Because there's thing, Microsoft, we never heard anything about Gears of War. Same thing. So early on.
We got to see a logo. Same logo. This one.
Yeah, but it's just like, there's nothing to show, nothing to tell. And at least focusing on the developers. And I think, to be fair, the developers that they focused on are strong enough studios in terms of brand recognition that they can do that. Because it's like, okay, let's just focus on BioWare's guys and talk. Let's have some vague allusion to.
But let's talk about Criterion, because that's like somehow I got a little bit like a weird vibe of that sort of whole oh, we're so relaxed and nice and going to the pub and doing that, when you know that Criterion was like 10 times as big just a year ago or a year and a half ago, lost its founders, and now there's a new team that's maybe like 15, 20 people. I mean, put a positive spin on that. It's like, yeah, I like the fact what they're doing. That game looks really cool. I love that whole thing. But it's like, you're not going to convince me that sort of the whole thing that happened with Criterion is like a blessing or a nice thing, or, you know, that's too soon. Yeah. Too soon to say that. I mean, you can say that if you're successful with this game and everyone's moved on and everyone's happy afterwards, but like right now it's like a little bit like, you know, you know what I mean?
Having a party at a funeral.
That rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, you know, especially since, you know, the people that removed from Criterion got to be Ghost Games UK, and then they closed down that one as well. So, yeah. I don't know about that, but, you know, the game looks a lot of fun. It looks like one of those sort of old school arcade extreme sports kind of things where you're just mixing
almost like SSX, pure, like the ATX sort of games.
I remember that old sort of Sega Sports Extreme Sports game. Feels like it harkens to like 10, 15 years ago.
Well, it's something that I think they have to diversify the racing genre, because that is one that has become so stilted. There's nothing new to do. I mean, Criterion pioneered the sort of change with Burnout Paradise, with the idea about the hub menus within the game itself without having to go into lobbies or anything. And now it's like, okay, so you've got Forza Motorsport 5, which is the purebred hardcore sort of semi-arcade experience. Forza Horizon 2 is a separate thing, sandbox, more sort of relaxed sort of vibe. Got Gran Turismo, but what's next? And I think everybody's scrabbling for that. But what we've seen is, and we actually saw this with PGA Tour, is the devs are taking it in a sort of more fun way now. Because with PGA Tour, okay, you've got the authentic, realistic courses, but you've got the extreme fantasy courses as well. Similar with Ubisoft's Shape Up. There you go, there's a fitness game. No one cares about fitness games. But what they do is they get Bishy Bashy Special, and they get the arcade games of Rocksmith 2014 edition. Oh, look, we'll combine those. We'll give that sort of like really cool arcade pixely sort of style to it. And I mean, we had a look at it there the other day, and we were like, yeah, do you want to play this? And to do that with a racing game, yeah, definitely. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm looking at it going, there's that many different vehicles, different styles. Don't know how it's going to work. But I think the racing genre definitely needs an injection of something new. And I'm hoping, despite what the origins of this may be, unfortunately, hopefully something good comes out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the real thing that they were talking about there is the fact that they got quick iterations. They're able to play test, and that's sort of a new philosophy approach to game development that they're doing. That's, you know, really also going back to like old school, how you did it in the past, which is nice. And well, we'll see what that brings. Of course, for me, Bioware is, you know, they had me at like, oh, we're doing a brand new game at Bioware Edmonton. Okay. And we got to see some environment shot, and that was it. And I'm like, show me now, show me. They also sort of like hinted at what they're doing with Mass Effect, which sounded tremendous. You know, just going into, you know, focusing on the exploration, focusing on new worlds, new experiences. Almost made me think of No Man's Sky, which, you know, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Probably the one that sort of had the most impact of all the games yesterday. Nice to see a small indie studio like Hello Games get that kind of love after the press conferences. But let's not go ahead of ourselves with that. But certainly, for me with Mass Effect, like the characters, fine. But it's the worlds. It's that sort of sci-fi experience, you know, seeing new worlds and taking the Normandy, going through different worlds and exploring. That's really key to me. So I'm hyped about that. That is the approach they're taking to it. but I'd love to see more.
Well, we definitely did see more of Battlefield Hardline,
Yes.
which was...
I even played it some.
Yeah, that was the nice thing. It was the big surprise, I guess. I guess that was the big surprise for EA. Not only was the beta available right then, right now, which crashed the PSN servers, and everybody was waiting in a traffic jam, but they actually had the game to play actually at the convention. So you sat down, had to go on it.
Yes, had to go at it, and fears that it would be very similar to Payday sort of quickly dissipated. It's basically the multiplayer of it that we played, which was a heist, I think was the mode. Feels a lot like just a new Battlefield mode, basically. So it is Battlefield, very much Battlefield multiplayer. Just a different mode, and the mode was basically there's a money depot. Cops and robbers trying to get as much money back to their own sort of safe houses or evidence locker.
Yeah, I was going to say corrupt cops.
Yeah. Well, no, of course not.
No.
But it's not for the cops. It's not just about taking out the robbers. They got sort of a mirrored objective of bringing money to the evidence.
Yeah.
So very much sort of like even keeled mode. It's not an asymmetric mode in any way. It's and. Basically, you can spawn on vehicles and just jump straight into the action, and a lot of it was about vehicles, bikes and big armored vehicles and helicopters, and a lot of weird things going on there. Obviously, it's a beta version. I managed to crash some find some bugs in it.
You sound so proud.
Yeah, but interesting game. And strangely, very much Battlefield. I thought
you would have wanted something a little different.
I don't know if I'd wanted it, but I was surprised that it wasn't that much Battlefield. But of course, the single player is probably what's going to sell me on it or not, because that's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
What do you think about the visuals? Because you've mentioned something there yesterday about Frostbite. It was basically DICE seem to be the only people that get the maximum juice out of that engine.
I don't think it's quite on the level of Battlefield 4 in terms of visuals. Obviously, what we saw was a map that was probably on the smaller size of what you see in Battlefield 4, and still the visuals weren't sort of like they weren't scaled up.
Yeah.
In my book, I played it on PlayStation 4. Obviously, the PC is going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit extra bells and whistles on it, like we expect it to be. But I don't think that this is going to be the game that pushes Frostbite, and that is something we've seen. I mean, any developer that gets an engine that's not done by them is going to struggle to get the maximum out of it. And also, I think they learned a lot from Battlefield 4. Maybe not push it all the way out there. Make sure you got it locked down. And that's one of the nice things about the beta hitting now. Hopefully, they'll be able to see issues and iron things out ahead of launch. Hopefully, it's something that they take away from Battlefield 4.
Cool. Well, moving on, at Ubisoft.
Yes.
So, the sweaty theatre.
Yeah.
Not so sweaty this year, change.
It was the old EA theatre, actually, that they used this year. Usually, EA is in that Orpheum one. Funny things with the bracelets. I don't know, do we have any of the bracelets lying around?
Just to show this off. So we were having an argument yesterday about who thought this up first, either Microsoft or Ubisoft. We imagine we conjectured about 3-4 months ago, execs from both companies were out for a night out, had too many drinks, and someone brought up the idea, and both parties left believing they made it. They came up with it. Yes!
Actually, you can give it there's codes, so you can actually give them away if you want.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. Well, maybe can we show it to the camera then, yes, the code, and then...
I'll write it up.
All right. Okay, yeah, one thing about the Ubisoft
this
bracelets...
This is both Ubisoft things.
Was that each bracelet comes with a unique code on the back, which reportedly, or we've been told, gives unique content, though as to what that unique content is,
idea.
We have no idea.
It's on Uplay, basically a code that you put in on Uplay and you get something.
So it's probably going to be a wallpaper. That'll be it, but still something cool. So yeah, it was just...
Yeah. And of course, Ubisoft had the exact same things,
Yeah.
and it even worked. Like I had my old Microsoft one on. It worked during the conference and gave me the lights of Ubisoft. Exact same thing. Someone who sold these was a very happy camper Monday.
I was going to say, better than ponchos?
It's better than Punch. And actually, the effect in the theater was really nice.
It's just very subtle rather than overbearing.
And not when it first happened at Microsoft, I thought that this was a USB stick or something that they put on. Everybody gets the assets. But when I first turned it on, I thought it was smartphones. Everyone was photographing Phil Spencer. It wasn't. I guess it's a similar thing.
It was used mainly. You said Microsoft, an Ubisoft thing. It was mainly used, I think, for the Just Dance sequence, where the British were flashing in time with the music. I mean, it was quite nice of it. And again, because it was subtle, it didn't feel a little bit like.
No.
Yeah. But with Ubisoft, kicked off with Far Cry 4. The first of two demos we would see of that. The second one would be at Sony's later on. Holy shit! Just to paraphrase Alicia Tyler's comment from the show, that is one of the rare times that I've been looking at the game, going, "God, nice trailer and stuff like that," and then you think, "Oh, hang on, is this in game?" Whoa, yeah, completely blown away, and we'll talk about the Sony demo in a while, but the combo of the two. Yeah, that completely blew me away.
I mean,
strong stuff.
That's one of those things that's gonna save 2014. Really, Far Cry 4 is coming out this November.
The only sort of not downside per se, but the little bit off the sheen was it did sort of replicate Vaz's intro in Far Cry 3, so it felt very much like it works so extremely well for them. In 3, like sort of repeat the trick. In 4, which is completely fine because it's a very different character style, but there's echoes there of the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going with a formula that sort of works for them. But as you said, the character seems different somehow. I think maybe there's more of a wrinkle to it than was with Vaz. And obviously, it seems like we're not getting the sort of the dude bro surfer dude sort of bachelorette party thing vibe going.
But then when they did the selfie, the guy that presumably is you, just ordinary guy. You know, I'd like to see a little bit more distinct personality.
I guess we're gonna get that journey of you get sort of thrown into this shithole and
suddenly you're just a tourist, but suddenly you become this amazing adventurer killer guy. It's an amazing journey. People should try it out.
It's what we all dream of when we go on vacation, isn't it?
Just Dance. I have to say, now when they sort of reel this stuff out, this is the point of the show where everyone goes to it. I was very impressed by what they showed this year, simply because the concept is so strong. How it actually works in reality, not too sure. So the idea is mobile device. You can sync up to a tablet or TV, whatnot, and you can actually play the game with X number of people.
I think the key is that you actually sync up with the app. So everyone who's got the phone doesn't sync up with the TV. There's just one person who sort of uses the app on the TV to sort of to dial into that game that you're playing, and everyone's using the app. So it's just basically you take cues from the screen, but you're just synced up through the app. So interesting move, and I'm curious to see how the sort of the business model of it. Obviously, it's a free app. I'm also interested to see, like, because it's almost a little bit too much. It's like, is this really gonna happen? I'm guessing that they're gonna buy, place at some concerts, or maybe where they're gonna get everyone to do it, things like that, to sort of get that viral marketing going. I can see that happening, but impressive idea, interesting.
But that was the interest. We said this yesterday in the blog. The fact is, we talked about this in Shape Up before we even touched Assassin's Creed or Division, and that just shows you what an impact that such a small game.
And the trailer for Just Dance 2015, that was the production value on that, the work that had gone into that, and overall Ubisoft trailers,
stunning. And as I said previously, the Division trailer, I got a little bit choked up on.
Yep.
And especially the Valiant Hearts trailer, tears in the eye.
Yep.
Just a beautiful thing. Division, what can we say? Looks fantastic. Another gameplay slice. We want to see more. And that's less because we don't think we've seen enough. It's just, well, we haven't seen enough because we want to see more. Yeah. Great stuff.
And you know, the thing is, like, with that game, so much is going to be about the world that, you know, seeing a specific mission like that is, you know, it's fine. But, you know, I want to see what the experience is going to be like when I play it. Experiencing the world, exploration, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see where, I mean, obviously it's still early days. It's coming out 2015 and probably not first month of 2015. So still ways to go.
But the ending wasn't Beyond Good and Evil 2, god damn it, was a surprise. Though, to be fair, I completely forgot about this game. We talked about it for ages. I just completely forgot about it. It just went out of my head. And if I remembered maybe a couple of weeks ago, I would have been, that's going to appear at some point. Yeah, so Rainbow Six, no longer Patriots, Rainbow Six Siege is a return to the classic Rainbow Six style. We're pre-planning before you go into a scenario, jumping in, and then it's very much like cops trying to take down a couple of guys who've got a hostage in a house somewhere in suburbia. Look great, and we talked about this where it's a great idea, something very different from the norm, especially with the way they took the series with Vegas.
Yeah.
But the question is, how are you going to expand that gameplay for a full-priced retail title? I mean, obviously this is just a tiny slice.
This is a multiplayer mode that they showed off. Obviously, the single player, I would expect there to be sort of a storyline. But I would expect there to be the same sort of planning stage, because I think that's something that they're taking away from what the fans want.
Yeah.
But you know, that had a lot of impact. I would have, if someone would have told me that, well, they're going to show off Rainbow Six and that's going to be the show capper, I would have said it before. You know, all respect to Rainbow Six, but it's not a franchise that has that kind of impact.
It's not a Watch Dogs, not a Division type thing.
And I don't think it had that kind of impact, but it's still, people were talking about it afterwards. It had a lot of impact, and it's sort of, maybe it's taken them this long to get it right.
Yeah.
Because obviously Rainbow Six Patriots, that we used to call it, now it's Siege, but that has been reborn a few times over the years, and this is something a little bit different than what we saw originally of it. So
it's good in the multiplayer space where they really need to have something very distinct to really stand out. And it's actually funny how they've had to look back. They've went, oh, we've always had something that's been very distinct. We just need to actually resurrect this.
Yeah. And obviously, huge change to it is destructible environments. That's changing the way you play Rainbow Six. I mean, obviously, before you would move from room to room and you would open doors and you would, you know, that sort of thing. Yes, break through the wall, break through the floor. It changes everything. It makes it much more dynamic, and that makes it interesting. That remote control little thingy, drone thingy, also very interesting. And the fact that you did that during the planning stage, and you could see the other team setting things up, very interesting. Obviously, there's going to be a fight to take out that drone. First thing that happens, the defending team has to sort of try and do that as soon as, you know, because obviously the information is what it's all about. Like seeing that.
Well, it's going to be that sort of thing similar with Evolve, where it has to be hardcore planning. You're going to have friends playing it who are into it as much as you are, because otherwise you're screwed.
Probably not the kind of game you would just want to jump in with strangers, play around with that just randomly.
No, this is a game you buy with friends and go, right, we're going to learn, we're going to train. Sony.
Before we move on to Sony, give me those Ubisoft bracelets and I will give the people the codes.
Excellent. Okay.
We have to give them away.
They're so shiny.
I guess
we keep the bracelets at least. So we're
Well,
not losing.
Maybe,
we're not losing.
Maybe they're giving them away as well. I don't know.
We've got the sparkle. So, Doria, how long are we on? 6 minutes?
Half an hour.
Oh, we got another half hour?
Yeah, we can go all the way up to Nintendo.
Cracking. All right, well, that's fine. That's good to know, because Sony, there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
That was the most substantial.
Maybe I should tell everyone how I saw it as well, because
Go
you
on.
were at the show. We sort of divided things up a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
So basically, we're at downtown LA because we were at the Ubisoft one. Every one of us. You guys went off to Sony.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Starbucks. Shittiest Wi-Fi ever in a Starbucks. My God, that was horrible. And we were sitting there and we were like, well, maybe it's gonna work. We turned down the frame rate, the bit rate, but it just kept buffering. That place did not have internet for shits. So, funny thing happened. A developer was working on a game. What was it? My Singing Monsters or something like that, I think.
My Singing Monsters, yeah.
Indie dev wanted to see the conference because his game was going to be on there.
He said
Might be on there. He didn't know.
Oh shit! Right. Okay.
And it's like, do you know where there's internet we can find? So we tried to go to another cafe that we've been to a few years. Their internet didn't work.
They just recognized us.
Yeah,
They knew we were going to sit there all
they didn't want us there. And then it's like, oh, so do we go to Mama Burger again? They got internet. But we saw another cafe across the road, Hipster Cafe. The only soft drink they had was Mexican Coke, and they had Pellegrino. That was the water, very hipster, it was like combined with a clothes shop. We got in there, internet worked, and we sat there for a couple of hours with one little juice drink. But we got to see the show, most of it anyway, so I am cued in on what happened, but it was a bit of a struggle to get there. Yeah.
No, well, at least you got to see it.
We didn't go there, no.
No, dude, that's a good thing. You can't go to Manburger twice in one day. That's a little bit extreme.
It was like 3 hours later, so.
Yeah. They'd just be like, our burgers are that good? You want to come? Well, yes, we've got Wi-Fi.
I could have gone for it though, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Sony's E3 2014 conference, the last of the day, always the most substantial. I think clocked in around about an hour, 40 minutes or
I think they just have total disregard of how long they run.
We're fed and watered you outside. You're staying here. It's our dollar, basically. There was a few bits during the conference that I feel like they could cut out, and I felt very much like padding.
Let's hit some positives first.
Yeah. Let's go. So, opening with Destiny.
Yep.
Best on PlayStation, apparently. Great to get a little bit of background into the history of Bungie's new open world. Always that Sony screen they have set up in the center, amazing.
Yep.
Just like a wide screen sort of thing. Feels like you're looking at God, basically. And they announced basically that the alpha, should I say the beta, will be kicking off in July for players. But then they actually announced that there's an alpha going as well, which is apparently this weekend. I have to find out, don't know the exact details about that, but again, it seems like a very early hands-on with the game, which is fantastic and keeps up with everyone else.
Maybe based on the E3 demo.
Yeah, the one that we've actually seen, and there actually should be a preview up on the site, I hope. Else I've just broken an embargo.
I think it was tied to the Sony press conference. Yeah.
I think it's up, so you can read about that there. We believe that's probably the thing you guys will get playing as well this weekend, as long as you can get access. The access points, the finer points of gaining that access, I do not know right now. So check out. I'm sure Destiny's official website has the info about that.
Yeah.
But I actually thought they were going to do a gameplay demo of it. They didn't. They completely skipped that. But to be fair, they didn't actually need to. I think people know enough about Destiny now that they don't need anything extra, any extra trimmings. We followed on. Now here's a game that, similar with the Crew at Ubisoft's conference, which we actually didn't touch upon. This is a game that didn't really impress me first time I saw it. Saw some extra gameplay this time around, and I went, I get it. And that was The Order, 1886. Now, we know it's supposed to be sort of semi-Gears of War in terms of play style, a little bit horror mixed in. And yeah, okay, fighting werewolves. Nothing new. But how they approached it and how they sort of ratcheted up the tension of that. I had my laptop on my lap, and that came on, and I actually took the laptop and put it beside me because I was just worried I was going to jump. I had that sort of thing. There's something going to jump out, and I'm a stickler for those type of things. I react really badly.
Yeah.
okay, sort of scripted and stuff like that, but it impressed me. It impressed me in the look, mood, style, and everything. And that, again, is the tiniest gameplay slice. But that is now on my radar.
Yeah,
I will be looking out for that.
Yeah. I mean, the team that's working on Red Dead Dawn obviously had the pedigree, and they've sort of been building up to make this big game. Finally, we get to sort of do a console game, big, proper AAA style, and hopefully they can deliver. Coming out early next year, so we'll see how it fares against all the sort of the big hitters that are set to go out there. Because it would have been good to have it out maybe September, October now, when there's a little bit of a lull.
You don't want that thing getting lost.
Yeah.
But that's out then. What's out actually yesterday, Entwined, which I thought looked lovely. I genuinely thought it was like that game company. I thought it was going to be something like that, like a new game by them.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, that looks gorgeous. That completely woke me up. Stunning to look at. Okay, maybe one of those games, and it's reflected in the $9.99 price. It's not going to be massively huge,
but it's one of those student sort of collaboration things that they're going on. Pixel Opus. I think we sort of learned about Pixel Opus just a little bit before E3. Interesting, and of course interesting to give time at the press conference for that. Speaking of that game company, we had Absu that was shown as well from, I think it's the art director of that game company who started a new...
Giant Squid.
Yeah. Not quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Doing the music, yeah.
Yeah.
But looks fabulous. Again, that beautiful sort of very vivid sort of colorscape they've got going on.
I don't know if people heard what Nick said, but Austin Winter is doing the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool thing, exploration heavy. Sort of the vibe of a lot of what excited me about Sony was that sort of exploration. Of course, that takes us to No Man's Sky. Coming first on console to PS4, also coming on Xbox One and PC. That game just, people just can't believe what it is.
Yeah.
The sort of procedurally generated worlds and the way you can just move freely between them. Only thing I'm wondering is like, what's the gameplay? Is it just exploration, or is there something more to it?
Pokemon Snap. You just go and explore, see things. And you know what? I am totally fine with that. You see, it would be nice to have a game where we did see a glimpse of some sort of gun or some sort of laser in one of the little gameplay snippets they had at the end of the presentation for that. But if it is just focused on just walking around, just soaking up that atmosphere, I genuinely would be very happy for that.
If all the worlds are as beautiful as sort of, if the procedural thing works as well as what we've seen, so there's no sort of like, because what can happen in procedurally generated world is that sometimes they're a bit dull. Sometimes there are things that don't look like it's thought through. It's just, this piece fits with that piece, and sort of,
it's sort of bland.
It can be like you have to sacrifice that sort of attention to detail just to make everything work in a procedural way. But the way it looked, I was on the bus with the Hello Games guys coming off the conference. I was just talking to them, and they're like, what do you think? It's like, 3 words for you: shit the bed. I was just like, I completely blew me away. It's one of those games where I want to take time off and just sink myself into that. Yeah, and I think that, like most games journalists, we've met Hello Games over the years, and they're such a bunch of nice people and very humble. And I remember meeting them the first time when they took the van, drove from England to Gamescom with their own consoles, set up a little booth there, their own couches. Very much sort of down to earth, in the spirit of the whole studio, and such a small team doing such an ambitious game. We said Nick actually pointed this out, that when Sean came on stage to sort of announce it and talk about No Man's Sky, he didn't follow the auto cue. Apparently went completely off. But it felt genuine, like you said. It felt genuine from the heart. He was speaking, and he just seemed so humbled by the fact that he was the reaction, by what people were. Absolutely. And I think every conference needs that. You have to go off the prompter sometimes, and maybe that's a little bit. If you sort of fault Microsoft for anything, is that I felt like they were on prompter for the duration of the 90 minutes. And you sometimes you need those moments. You need those moments where it's like someone is just going off a little bit on their own sort of thing.
We had that with Little Big Planet 3.
Yep.
Which was, I've heard it on good authority by the people that were on stage, there was a serious problem with lag. So that's why they're having some issues sort of just controlling. However, what I said to them, and I think it's very true, there's an honesty of that demo, and people get behind that. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's not like a tech issue like what happened with Assassin's Creed 4 previous years. It was just like, okay, people trying to do stuff, not quite working, but they're enjoying it, they're having a laugh, and the crowd were cheering along with them, and it's just a good atmosphere, you know. And I prefer that to an ultra slick gameplay demo. Obviously, you want this thing to go without a hitch, but you play it and it's like, oh well, that felt like very much on rails.
That is true, but there's also the issue of that franchise having a sort of a control, a sort of a murky past with controls that I think you can laugh about a little bit, but people who sort of had problems with that in the past and sort of felt like this isn't pixel perfect platforming, they were probably looking at that and said, this is nothing for me.
Well, I think Little Big Planet had its own thing. It never felt like that pixel perfect thing, and I don't think it wasn't perhaps an issue with. You can argue
I don't have an issue with it, but
I think
some people did.
It's not Mario. It's never meant to be Mario, and it's meant to have that sort of very airy, sort of like fluffy feel to it. And the idea that all the user-generated content that's been created will be available.
That's killer app. Everyone who's got the first 2 games and loved it, definitely going to be along for the third one straight away. That's a great way of also, I guess everyone will be able to import what they've done in the previous games and tweak it and change it, and that work is not going to waste, and that's nice to know. New characters introduced. I think this is also like a watershed thing. I noticed in the editor chat back home, a lot of people were taking a crap at it. I thought there was a lot of personality. I love that stuff. The dog.
That's you, so
yeah. I mean, I like that. I like that. I like the fact that they're introducing sort of different mechanics with that, and I'm curious as to how it works in single player, but certainly for co-op, that's adding a new wrinkle to it.
4-player co-op again. How many games? I mean, I'm not dissing it, but
did you speak to the developers on that title? Do you know who the developer is? Because that's like a question.
They didn't really mention it. No, it's just a friend of mine was helping out on stage, so just sort of talking to them afterwards. But I think that's one of the things we'll be finding out today, really.
Because obviously it's not Media Molecule. They're not in charge of it, probably involved at some stage, but
well, that proved true because that's what we thought. We thought that Media Molecule had said they weren't showing anything in the show, but we sort of knew that Little Big Planet 3 was being shown, so obviously not them. I mean, you had a few ideas of maybe who it would be.
I don't think it is Tarsier that's doing it. I think it's someone else, and maybe it's obviously UK accent guy presenting it. I didn't recognize him what he's done before, but probably keeping it in the country. I think Double 11 have been working on the franchise. Obviously, Sony has a lot of teams that we're not really cued in on that might have been working on something. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure we'll find. I'll probably find out today, to be honest with you. Talking about importing, lovely thing, Grand Theft Auto 5. Which obviously is coming to Xbox One and what do you say?
PC.
And PC, yes. It's coming to Xbox One and PC.
We had no clue that.
No, but I like the fact by simply just ignoring the fact about the other consoles. The way Sony has said going, you can import basically your character from
that
PlayStation
caused
3
a lot of stir.
and Xbox 360 as well. Because obviously they weren't inferring, they weren't saying it's exclusive to PS4.
No.
But just by simply doing that.
I mean, personally, I listen for certain words, like only on and exclusive. But people watching that probably got the impression that it's only coming to PS4, which is not the case at all. Very interesting though that you can import your progress from Xbox 360. I wonder how that works on other platforms. I talked to a Microsoft guy, and apparently they're trying to figure out what that will work on Xbox One as well, because obviously they weren't clued in as much. Rockstar went with Sony press conference for the announcement. Doesn't sound like we're getting an exclusive. they're not talking about any expansion, new content so far. So we'll see. Maybe we'll hear more about it leading up to release. But obviously, it's a big thing, and I think most people who've, you know, invested a lot of time in it want to. I mean, obviously, obviously, you got to buy the game again. There's no sort of you get it half price or anything like that they mentioned. Yeah. And I think they would
if that was the case.
Yeah. But and nice to see them sort of making sure that it's future-proofed in a way. Yeah.
I need little excuse to play through that game again, so I'll happily do it, even though it's just a slight graphical upgrade. Another surprise. Well, when we say surprise, we sort of had an inkling again about this appearing, Dead Island 2.
Yeah.
So no gameplay, but they just
great trailer.
Great trailer as usual. I mean, that may not translate into
great game.
Great game.
Once again, who is developing it? That's another question. I don't know.
Mystery developers.
Yes, because I mean, Techland obviously are doing another zombie game, open world zombie game. I doubt that they're making two at the same time. So maybe it's a new developer, and we'll see who that is.
And there'll be a beta exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah, for 30 days.
And a character class as well, exclusive stuff. But yeah, great trailer. I think that got more laughs than Sunset.
Yeah,
it's just a great call. And the song in that I haven't been able to get out of my head. I woke up this morning, it was just playing. So
you know what song's playing in my head? Happiness, and I can't kick that song. It was both in Just Dance and Dance Central.
We need some new music in our life.
Yeah.
This would be a great segue if there was a music-related game in Sony's conference. Unfortunately, no. So I'm going to have to pick something else out instead.
We need to talk about Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Probably for the hardcore gamer, that was the big announcement of the Sony show. Obviously, From Software. If you know the story behind Demon's Souls, it was originally first-party Sony, but they only published it in Japan. They did not publish it elsewhere in the world. Atlas did, and was it even published in Europe originally? I'm not sure.
Not sure.
It came out a little bit later, I think, if it was Bandai Namco who picked it up, and then they, of course, picked up the sequel, Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Now we're sort of, the director from the original is back with Sony. Different sort of setting, different sort of style.
Felt like Victorian sort of England sort of
we got that sort of Penny Dreadful kind of thing going. I gotta say, I like the fact that it's different in setting.
Yeah,
they needed to do that, and the gameplay also looked a little bit different.
It was more like a sort of stealth element.
Yeah,
and again, this is just from a CG trailer. But.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that is probably a game that we'll hear more about and that we'll see more about. But certainly for the hardcore audience, that's a big deal. I mean, Dark Souls has sort of. I know so many people who sort of say that, you know, that really love Dark Souls. I'm not completely sold on the concept. I think it's kicking my ass a little bit too badly.
But you appreciate the idea.
I appreciate it, and I recognize that for a lot of people, this is really what they want out of gaming. And the fact that Sony can deliver on that exclusively with Bloodborne, it's a big deal. You know, if Microsoft had their stuff a little bit more sort of centered around what sort of a mainstream gaming experience is, Sony had more variation in their presentation, and this was certainly one of those games that added that variation. So, yeah. Should we get to the part where they sort of dropped the ball?
I wouldn't say drop the ball, but it was just they sort of segued into something that was a little bit just uninteresting.
First of all, 1 minute of Morpheus.
Yeah, if that. Yeah, and it's just, boom, it's on screen. Hey, Morpheus is here.
2 new demos at E3. Yeah. Probably.
Tell them what I was hoping for, so they'll steal their day for next year. Everybody gets a helmet.
Yeah. Dory was hoping that they had placed the helmet underneath the chairs. And
so right, now to experience Morpheus, that's cool. Look underneath your seat.
If we had gotten a helmet.
But yeah, I think that sort of signaled that, hey, we're working on Morpheus, it's coming out, it's not anywhere near being released.
No, but you come experience it anyway.
Yeah.
Sort of another segue. Apparently, there is I just saw this on Twitter last night. Apparently, there is an Alien Isolation build with Oculus Rift. I'm there today. I'm going to find half an hour in my schedule. I'm going to go there. I'm going to shit my pants, but I'm accepting that. But yeah, Morpheus, 30 seconds. Same FIDA actually. Same way FIDA just got a little brief mention. We were hoping for a new first-party AAA release.
Didn't get that. No.
Just like more remote play, more emphasis on being a companion app, so to speak, for PS4, which is a shame. But hey, I'm still happy. I'm getting a lot of.
And we're getting a lot of free to play.
Woo! Do you notice how there was absolutely free to play?
Yeah,
no one cares.
You know, it's like being the console leader on free to play is not really the killer app that you should push at a press conference, because quite honestly, there is a large section of gamers who love free to play, who play it a lot, but you know, you're never going to compete with mobile and PC on that space.
Yeah,
it's like you're always going to play catch up, and you know, I don't really see the appeal of having that. I mean, obviously we've seen free to play now on PS4. It's not really moving the needle for me. Well,
let's see.
Yeah.
But they talked about PlayStation Now, they talked about PlayStation TV. PlayStation Now, again, is a concept that hopefully will work, but we're not convinced.
I mean, obviously, with PlayStation TV and PlayStation Now together, that's like making PlayStation 3 obsolete in a way. At the same time, I'm like, PlayStation TV, I love to have that at home, love to have it in my bedroom, being able to stream PlayStation 4, but there's no way I want to play a PlayStation 4 game with the DualShock 3.
Yeah.
That's just complete killing it for me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back. I mean, that's like a downgraded experience, and I don't want that. And I think that is the number one thing that I want for PlayStation TV. Add DualShock 4 support.
They must do. There must be something there.
Yes, I hope so, because otherwise it's like, no.
It's basically, look, I'm going to take my...
I'm going to move the console. I don't have such a big house that I can't move it. You know.
Yeah.
For me, PlayStation TV is all about convenience, and if they can't sort of mirror the experience,
thing,
then it's not dead to me. I'm probably going to get it anyway, but. It could have been. It could have been
5 minutes of ranting.
Yeah,
hate it, but I will buy it.
Yeah, well, I would buy it for other things.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't play the PlayStation 4 games on there.
And then they talked about powers. Now, big comic book fan that I am. Fantastic to see Bendis on stage. Fantastic to see Bendis full stop.
Yeah.
And fantastic to see that Powers has got greenlit for 2 seasons, and they're casting already. And we saw some concept art. However, I think this was the wrong venue to do this.
Yes,
totally.
Yeah.
And whilst Bendis acknowledged, look, I'm a gamer. You guys gamers, blah. Thanks for the support. And there probably was a good proportion of the audience who were like, Bendis, Powers, yeah. It was like games. Let's see some games. And it's funny how we were talking prior to this about.
Rasmus from Gamereactor Denmark is in the chat, and he's actually saying PlayStation TV actually has DualShock 4 support.
It does?
It's actually required for PS4 remote play. So...
your answer, see?
Why did they not bundle the DualShock 4? It's
probably
mind-boggling.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So you need a DS3 for older stuff and DS4 for...
Yeah, then people need to buy a DualShock 4.
No, anyway, so I guess the idea is you buy the PlayStation TV.
Let's go and ask Sony today. Just go what?
If you stream the PS4 to that, then you already have a PS4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
I guess that's what it is, but
they were not clear on that. So.
That was...
Yeah, they were clear. Rasmus, thank you. Keeping us right and ready for 2000. Yeah.
Well, then it's the killer app.
And do you want
I'm getting that.
If we got sound issues, do we need to redo this last 5 minutes again? Just that we can do a completely different time.
Yeah.
But Microsoft, we joked that. We sort of thought that Microsoft would push the media, the TV shows, and stuff like that. And whilst they did a little touch on it with the Halo Master Chief collection, with the Halo Nightfall being shown in that, didn't touch it at all. Sony, however, turn around and go, obviously enough people like watching streaming stuff on PlayStation 4, and we've got this, but it's like, okay, this is the point of the conference where the vibe just dropped.
I gotta say, like,
what? Have we got break?
If you want something to drink.
I just like normal Coke, please.
Yeah, but that was.
I can take some, please. Thank you very much.
Service. Service. Such
What
service.
I gotta say is like, to me, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but like the stuff that Xbox have announced with Xbox Originals compared to what Sony spends so much time at their press conference, it's like you're being outshot 5-1. And you're also announcing that somehow we're going to be happy
Thank you,
about
Seth.
getting this for free with PlayStation Plus. I think that's set up.
Yeah, the US.
Of course you are. Do you think that we're going to pay extra money when we're paying for a subscription? That's the Netflix model. You got to bring it for free. It's
Yeah.
not.
Well, I think it's sort of maybe it starts a sort of floodgates thing where finest wine.
Yes.
Ooh, Rasmus coming through again. This is making me excited. The Jaeger guys are developing Dead Island 2. Spec Ops the
Oh.
Line.
Spec Ops the Line.
Oh.
Oh my God! All right.
So
We
Just
that's big for me.
yes.
Yeah.
And sort of Deep Silver really going back to their German roots. They're working with Crytek on.
Repeat that for the microphone, you said.
Yeah. All right.
Just in case you didn't hear it, go ahead.
It's Jaeger that's doing Dead Island 2, and I cannot believe they wouldn't highlight that at the press conference.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, obviously a team that's more prestigious than Techland, I would say, because Spec Ops The Line was sort of a revelation when it came out.
Yeah.
Perhaps not pushing the boundaries in mechanics, but storytelling in first-person
Craft
shooter,
more.
very well done.
It's probably one of the most overlooked games, I feel, in the last few years.
Yes. Very good game, and you should play for the narrative alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a little show recommendation. If you haven't played Spec Ops yet, go and get it. I'm sure it's reduced price by now. And
I picked it up on PS Plus Instant Game Collection a while back, so it has been free. So if you didn't do it, it's not free anymore. But I'm sure you can pick it up cheap anywhere.
5 minutes? Good go.
5 minutes.
What? We shot through this? Okay, we'll get off pars. First gameplay of Mortal Kombat X, not Mortal Kombat 10.
A couple of new characters.
You know what? Before I played Injustice, I would have been like, because I'm a Street Fighter guy, I played Injustice. I love the mechanics. Like that, something about Injustice had me and a couple of friends playing that all night. And that's obviously Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
This, it was just like, I could see that sort of mechanics in the animations. I'm like, yeah, this is me more interested now.
Yeah.
So hopefully a very solid fighting game.
And it's been a while since a Mortal Kombat, so, overdue.
Overdue, definitely. We're flicking down here, so we're going to cram
Phantom
everything.
Pain?
Phantom Pain, definitely. Great trailer. Tease and everything.
Yeah.
Saying so much, yet showing so little. And for us, the finished Ground Zero is obviously how that ends. They've reflected little bits of that in this trailer. There's little nods and stuff like that I think it just shows the downfall of Snake.
Yeah.
I like this. This is the idea. This is his descent into hell, and I'm really looking forward to it. That goes without saying. Last of Us remaster, flop up again. I think the third time yesterday that I got tears in my eyes. Something about it, beautiful rendition. I love the flash stop saying, by the way, contains spoilers. And it really did. But then the big one we had that was Naughty Dog, and then we had Naughty Dog reappearing. I'm looking at Nick here simply because they did the whole one last game thing, Sony Entertainment, and then they extended the length of the black screen between that and the actual developer title. And this
they
guy
put the Naughty Dog logo up and people went fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Nick here jumped up, as did some of the people in the conference. That place, nothing shown, just screaming, hollering and stuff like that. But obviously transitioned into Uncharted 4.
Yeah, the show capper that sort of Microsoft lacked.
Yes, actually, that's, to be fair, I think that was it. That was one thing that was lacking in all conferences, was a big showstopper IP, either new IP or new announcement. Everybody was waiting for that across those 3 prior conferences. I think that was the closest thing we got to something that was probably...
Yeah, and to be fair, it's not like... It's just the strength of Naughty Dog that did it, because it's a game that we knew about, and it's sort of like, they got this to show. The Last Guardian would probably have been an even better show capper.
Yeah.
but because there's so much sort of pent up frustration in that. Uncharted 4, we didn't get to see much of it, but sort of the teasing that this is the end of the story, obviously got a lot of you know, piqued the interest of a lot of people. Good to know that you know, despite of all the defections and everything, it's on track.
Because there was a discussion we were having yesterday because of that, whether this would be sort of semi-delayed. They wouldn't really touch upon it this time round. And we had bets on whether, Last Guardian or a God of War sequel would be the answer. That
is really the missing in action game that I felt from Sony. Sony Santa Monica have been working for a long time on that. Obviously, there's been some restructuring and stuff, but that's not really affected that team, according to what we've heard. So, no God of War surprised me, I gotta say.
Maybe a Gamescom thing. Maybe next
I don't think typically they don't show the American games at Gamescom.
Yeah.
I think we'll likely see more from Europe there. Maybe VGX.
Yeah. E3 2015, The Last Guardian.
Yeah.
Wipeout. Gods of War. Didn't get Wipeout either.
All right, we're running out of time.
Yep.
Nintendo starting now?
Nintendo's starting now. Obviously, we have talked about the big publishers we've seen. There's one left, and that's Nintendo, who will be showing their digital offerings via stream, which you can watch here on Gamereactor in a few minutes. Yep. Hopefully a new Zelda, hopefully a new Pokemon, who knows?
We'll see.
We'll find out soon. Your guess is as good as ours. But until then, have a good one.